The AFIMSC has been on the minds of senior leaders for actually probably more than 2 decades. But it's been really difficult this was a really complicated transformation. In fact, the AFIMSC, probably the biggest transformation since back in the early 90s with when ACC came about. And so really the senior leaders, even though mission support senior leaders had a desire to create this center, they really never had the appetite or really the burning platform to make this transition, because they knew it was going to be a very complex transformation. But it was really the Budget Control Act sequestration that kind of pushed us in that direction. And so when Secretary Hagel made this 20% mandatory reduction of all headquarters level staff, well, that's what helped us get to that point. And so it was really at Corona, it was in 2013 at Corona, that senior leaders got together and they actually began to entertain this question of, can we do this more effectively? If we were to reduce staff and we were to consolidate and centralize processes, could we do this more effectively and efficiently? It was at the following Corona in 2014 that they actually went ahead and they jumped and they said, let's do it. Let's make this transformation. And they actually at that point said, make the AFIMSC happen. And it was at that point that the SecDef basically went back to the service chiefs and said, create your program. You do it, you figure out a way to make this happen. They did not dictate how to do the reduction. They just said, make it happen. And so that was the point where they went to each service went to the functionals and said, okay, now you make this happen. And that's kind of where we'll kind of talk about the making of the sausage, so to speak. How did we as a functional make this happen? And that's why I would like to let Chief Benningfield kind of talk about this, because it was actually Chaplain Gardner and Chief Benningfield who were part of that original team that began to go through this process. So Chief, why don't you share a little bit about?
Yeah, after the decision was made, they had the extended TDY in the DC area where we went, and much like Chaplain Erwin was saying, you had to figure out how the sausage was made. So we imagine just having like a clean slate where you have to take all of your mission support capabilities and design how you would meet the Air Force's needs. So Chaplain Gardner and I started the provisional. We had other team members that followed on, Sergeant Perry, some Chaplain Frankie came, but we were in meetings, high-level meetings, where we were to decide how best to organize the Chaplain Corps installation mission support. And so that's where, with help from the Chief's office, we organized that it would all be at the headquarters AFIMSC to meet those capabilities that we would bring on with five capabilities, CTOF, so 5 capabilities.
Yeah, broken up into the basically 3 branches: the finance, personnel, readiness, those capabilities, and kind of trying to decide what belongs at the MAGCOM, what really could flip over here to this new center, and then begin to divide up those capabilities that way.
And so we took that concept and basically laid out different processes and maps and things, and came up with the best way that we thought to meet the needs of the Air Force Chaplain Corps, both at since the MAGCOM staffs were drawn down, there still is a need to meet those capabilities and deliver world-class ministry support from our end.
So just as an example, some of the capabilities that were retained at the MAGCOM level, things that you would expect: the MAGCOM functional manager responsibilities, the senior religious support team advising the MAGCOM commanders, those responsibilities, the organized training equip responsibilities, those were all retained at the MAGCOM level. But anything that that could be done that was very task-oriented, transactional, those things like data calls. Many of our processes actually took the workload off the MAGCOMs in the area of of collecting data down from the installation level. Those were the kinds of activities that we have taken on. Total of 18 different processes in those 5 capability areas. As we've come together, we've stood up these 5 capabilities. We've got these 18 processes that are actually functioning. Probably right now, our big emphasis is we're already at IOC. We've attained that initial operating capability. Right now, our number one goal is moving towards FOC, and that is no later than 1 October of 16. We're on track for that. We shouldn't have any issue reaching that. We've actually, again, all the capabilities that we said that were transferred to us, we're now operating those now. So it's really working well. Probably the one thing what I'd like to finish up, and it's just to talk about our first commander of the AFIMSC, and that was General Carter. After the functionals went through this process of deciding what belongs here, what belongs at the MAGCOM, she actually went and began to do a tour of the Pentagon and talking with all of the Air Force senior leaders to get their advice, how to go about this process of standing up this center. And without fail, pretty much all the senior leaders told General Carter these 3 things. Be responsive to the customer needs. Make the mission first. Always put the mission first. The last one, though, is probably the one that I think has been the thing that we as a team have worked really hard on, and that is building trust with our partners. Because we recognize that we're never going to be able to accomplish this mission without the help of air staff, the MAGCOMs, but also the installation level RSTs. Together, we make this happen, and honestly, we think that this is really good for the Chaplain Corps. It's been very helpful, and the feedback that we've gotten from our partners has been overwhelmingly positive. It's been encouraging to see this teamwork.